Alright, so as many of you know, Onion, the great piece of shit, has decided to write another book called This Is Why I Hate You. I haven't read through it myself because getting a copy of it would require me giving him money, and I'm not going to pay nearly $10 for a 115-page book. That's just stupid. So, if anybody who's got a copy of it would like to upload it to a PDF or e-reader format that I could download for free and then check it out that way, that would be awesome. Right now, I'm listening to Generella's readings of it. She's all the way up to Chapter 8. And even though she's obviously not all the way through the book, there's no way it's going to get better. It's just going to get continuously worse from here. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to commentate my thoughts and opinions thus far on it. And you're going to listen. Also, I would share her readings here, but they're unlisted, so I don't know if she wants them shared just yet. Until she gives me the go-ahead, I'm going to link in the description box below the reading she did from his previous book, Stones to Abigail, a book I didn't think could be really outshined by something worse, but it has. I don't even know where to begin with this. This is why I hate you. You know, for a book that says that, you never get a why. Okay, you never get an explanation as to why he hates everything. In this book, Onion has once again inserted himself as a character named Arthur Gale, because James, no name, was pretty forgettable, and this one is too. If you thought James from the first book was just insufferable and irritating and stupid and ridiculous and there's no fucking reason he needed to write that book, but he did anyway, this character will piss you off even more because they're just as useless and really... they're way more useless. Arthur Gale is nothing more than an idiotic, nihilistic misanthrope that hates everything for no fucking reason. He doesn't explain why he has a reason. He just gives his own excuses and justifications for it and thinks that that suffices as an explanation, and it fucking doesn't. I mean, these reasonings make sense to his character, but they don't make sense to anyone of any cognition that would read this fucking book. There's nothing to like about this character, you know, at all. There was nothing to like about the last one, where you just got creepy vibes from. You don't get creepy vibes from this guy. He just is fucking creepy. In the first couple of chapters, he describes an urge to choke and break the neck of a student that annoys him. That's it. That's all they did to warrant this want to be killed. They just annoyed him. Not long after that, he gets into a fight with another student because this guy put his hand on the hip of a girl he was interested in. And what does Gargamel do? Because let's face it, Arthur Gale is him. This is a character he wishes he could be like. That's what his characters, his self-inserts are. He pushes this kid in the book to the ground and stomps on his fucking forearm until he shatters the damn thing. I'm not making this up. Later on, he wonders why the school wants to potentially expel him for this, why they considered going to the police, and why they don't think it's funny that he required surgery in order to heal from this injury. Every single insane thing that this character in the book does, he victimizes himself over. Later on, he actually goes into detail, and he's talked about doing this for real in his videos on YouTube. Greg has talked about doing this for real. He goes into detail about how he kicked his dad a whole bunch of times in the face because his dad wanted to choke him. Honestly, you would think, well, that's pretty fucked up. You know, his dad's an asshole. All this fucking character does up until that point is talk shit about this guy's wife. In the book, Gerg's mom died from illness because, yeah, I think it was cancer. And his dad decided to get with somebody new. You know, I mean, people do that. It's not unheard of. It's a coping mechanism for some people. Sometimes it's how they move on. Sometimes it was their spouse's wishes, like, ever should I die? I don't want you to be alone the rest of your life. Be happy with someone. You know, people do that. Instead, you know, he looks at this woman in his life as a seductress. Freud issues, already throwing red flags every fucking where here. All he does is call her a fat fucking pig, a sack of potatoes, worthless fucking fat ass, fat, 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 fat. Totally obvious body issues he's projecting on somebody else here. And then, when his dad's character can't fucking take it anymore, he just chokes the shit out of him in the car, and then Greg kicks him in the face like 17 fucking times, and then says, I am a victim. And if you're wondering, he does go to jail for this. And he doesn't describe what that's like because he's probably never been to jail ever. Obviously, he wouldn't be alive right now. He wouldn't survive in jail at all. They'd fucking kill him in minutes if he opened his goddamn mouth to anybody in a jail. I've been to jail. I'm telling you this. I know this. A guy like him wouldn't last 5 seconds in a lockup. And he just, like, there's such a disconnection between, like, violence and consequences in this. Like, he'll just unleash violent behavior on people and then wonder why people are punishing him for it. Like, well, didn't you see what happened? No, fuckface. The cops didn't fucking show up when this was starting to go down. They showed up after. You're covered in your dad's blood. His face is all bashed in. And you're sitting here screaming fucking insanity about, oh, it's because of his fat wife. And you have to fucking wonder why in your book the cops arrest you? Now, like I said, he's described actually having done this. And, you know, that's disturbing, if that's true, because you're a fucking lunatic. You don't, I mean, if the guy chokes you because you won't shut your fucking mouth, yeah, that's an overreaction. Okay? But you're no better to kick the motherfucker in the face 17 times like you fucking describe. Especially because you're such a pussy, you can only kick him back. You can't get on your feet. You can't fight like a man. You're such a fucking coward throughout this book. I actually interviewed a guy who, he said to me, he claimed he went to high school with Gerd. And a lot of you have heard this interview. I'll link it in the description box. And he said that he never won a single fucking fight in school. He got absolutely decimated from people because he wouldn't stop gaslighting them into anger. And then when he tried to get into a fight with them, they just beat the shit out of him, make him fucking run off crying, basically. And that would be it. And this book validates that. And actually, a lot of the things that guy had to say in the interview that I did with him, this book validates. In fact, and this is the creepiest part of this book, there is a love interest and a romance interest in this book who, just like the first romance interest in his first book, has no real reason to be in the plot and doesn't add or detract anything to it. They're a meaningless character. The character of Ashley in this book is pretty disturbing for a couple reasons. As many of you know, I'm working on a book series called Demon Hunter. And I announced it months and months and months ago. Actually, I announced it last year. I've been working on this thing for a long time. It's gone through like rewrite after rewrite. Now I've got one that I like. I like the way it's going right now. I wanted to turn this thing into like an audio book and all this other crazy shit, and then I had to sit down and say, look, fucker, why don't you finish this first and then consider all that crap? Otherwise, you're putting yourself up to your eyeballs in projects that you can't finish because you haven't finished the main thing they're all about. But anyway, I put up preview chapters of this book, and the character in my book, that's the lead, his name is Chris. Onion's antagonist in his book is named Chris. I just thought that was interesting. And I'm like, okay, so whatever. You know, we're both unoriginal when it comes to naming our characters. Whatever. It's not a big deal. My character's romance interest in my book has the near exact same fucking description that his does. In fact, when Gina was doing her reading of his book, I call it A Polished Turd, and she started reading his description of this character, the little subtleties of it. I was sitting in bed, I had my headphones in, it was really late. I even said out loud, oh my fucking God, they're the same fucking person. That's special. You know, that's like he can't get over things to the point that's just like, see, I stole your idea, and it's like, whoopty fucking shit. I've got actual publishers contacting me every so often wanting to help me with what I'm working on. You self-publish through Amazon because you know that no one in the world would touch this shit with a fucking 80-foot pole. But what makes this character even creepier is that she's based off a real-life person from his past. Someone did some digging around on his old website, kind of the way I did when I found his religion bullshit, and they found out that a lot of the situations he describes going through with this character, he describes actually having gone through with a real fucking person. Essentially, he was with somebody in high school, and if ever this anonymous, this Michael dude that I interviewed wants to, give me a call back and talk about it, that would be ideal. But he describes getting with a person in high school in this book, and it basically goes down the same way the reality of it was. He got with somebody, and he was an asshole to their friends. He flipped them off, like, right in front of their fucking friends at lunch, and was a complete douchebag, and said the only way they could make up from it is if they converted to dressing goth. And I know that sounds absolutely fucking stupid, but that's exactly what the fuck he did. He writes about it on his website in his own fucking words. This is back in, like, 2006. Okay? He even lists this person's fucking name. Dude, and I wanted to get into this a little later, but this is the perfect opportunity. We get it. This is a revenge novel. It's a retelling of events in your own life going the way you wish they'd went. And that says a lot of things. It says that you wish you could have killed certain people that gave you a hard time in school, and even at the age of near 30, you haven't gotten over it. It says that you don't really give a flying fuck that you have a kid and you're married. You wish things had worked out between this girl and yourself, and you're putting that in a book because you're trying to relive what could have happened. This is fucking stupid. This is fucking stupid. That's not why you write books, you fucking moron. The book I'm writing, there's a lot of things from my own life that I put into the book. I've changed them up a little bit. There's nothing wrong with taking bits and pieces of your own life and inserting them into your writing, as long as there's a reason why you're doing this. My book isn't to get back at all the shit I wish could have been. It's to spice up the writing a little bit with a little bit of reality to try to pull people into it more. Writers all over the place do this, but there's a difference between what they're fucking doing and what you're fucking doing. You're married, you have a kid. You're writing a novel about your fantasy to fuck this chick who you're no longer with and probably haven't been with in years and 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 years. And for what? For what? I mean, he goes in to describe how he's proud to have sex with her. He's like, he was really proud that she would allow him to do that with her. And it's just awful. I mean, the way he describes sex in this book is just as stupid as the last time. Apparently, he thinks that all women are squirters. Okay? Hey, I ain't going to fucking judge anybody that is. I mean, it's biological. If you do it, you do it. Can't help it. Whatever. But he seems to think that the minute you push your dick into a woman, he thinks that happens. Because either he doesn't have sex as much as he wants to claim that he fucking does, or he's just so stupid that his girlfriend has been pissing on him every single time they fuck, and he thinks that's the same thing as lay wetness. I don't know if you know this, but, and I hate to be the person that awkwardly breaks this to you, if you're going down on your woman and her vag tastes like piss, then that means that either you're really a freak, or that's not normal. I hate to tell you, but there's two different types of fluids, okay? And really, you should pay attention when people try to educate you about sex instead of obviously learning everything you know about sex from fucking really cheesy porn. Okay? A lot of people, they learn about sex through porn. Okay? But you have the mentality on sex of like a fucking idiot teenager. He even goes in to just absolutely confirm this, because he thinks it's hardcore and edgy, that while his dad is away on business, he sneaks into his fucking dad's office and looks up porn on his computer and then whacks it to it. That happens in this book. and he thinks that, oh, see, I gratified myself. I'm so hardcore. Even though, like, every fucking dude in the world has done this, like, at least once. Because, you know, when you're fucking 16 and you're horny and, you know, you have, like, a one-computer household, you abuse the fuck out of that computer. And there's something about my life I think I probably shouldn't have just grossed you all out with. Anyway, sorry about that. But no, I mean, the sex scene in this book it's just fucking awful. He boasts about how he's, you know, hardcore for doing it unprotected. You know, like, ooh, she even let me have sex with her unprotected. Like, people give a fuck. Okay, like, that's something to be proud of. Like, see, I'm irresponsible, ignorant, and stupid. like, you know, I mean, I'm not going to talk about my sex life and stuff, and I'm not going to, but if you don't do it protected, you're a fucking idiot, okay? If you know what you're doing and you're using, like, spermicidal lube, or if you have, like, a latex allergy, you know, I understand. Okay, there are contraceptives that work that aren't just condoms. But the way he describes it is, yeah, no rubbers, no spermicidal lube, okay, no birth control, because we're on the edge. We're on the pinnacle of the edge. Because, you know, that's how awesome and hardcore Arthur is. Arthur could wind up with a kid he won't fucking respect because he doesn't even have the balls to respect the one he's got in real fucking life, okay? You know, let's all be like him. I mean, it's fucking disgusting. It's fucking disgusting that he has he has a girlfriend in this book that has so little self-respect. He manipulated them into becoming goth because it gets them a hard-on rather than having a semblance of their own self-identity and their own personality. No, fuck you. I want you to be what I want you to be because, you know, I'm dominant. He's an idiot. I swear to God, I bet if you searched FetLife, like, long enough, you'd find his profile on there in real life. I swear to God. And I'm not putting down people that have a FetLife, okay? People are into what they're into. Alright? But I bet if you searched it long enough and you found his fucking account, he'd be one of these fucking sissy doms who thinks it's all about just manipulating people to act the way he wants them to act. You know, he thinks he understands the whole dominant fucking and submissive thing. He thinks he knows what BDSM is because he's just a manipulative sociopath. And it's fucking hilarious to me. Like when, what was her name? E.L. James or whatever? The person who wrote 50 Shades of Grey, when that came out, the real BDSM community came out and absolutely fucking abhorred this book. They said it was fucking horrible. Okay? I would love for some of the bigger names in that community to get their hands on a copy of This Is Why I Hate You. And I would love to hear their opinion of it. Because if this is what Greg thinks of a dominant and submissive relationship, he doesn't understand what that is. Quite fucking obviously. And it's motherfucking hilarious. It's actually kind of fucked up and embarrassing because you can... Like, there a couple of... Like, about a week ago or so now, he did this, like, live stream thing with his wife. And it was funny because in this live stream, you can see how he tries to live and embody that mentality. Like, every single thing that comes out of his wife's mouth, he just fucking shoots down and says is goddamn stupid. In fact, the entire time, he's in this fucking thing for, like, I think 35, 40 minutes, something like that. I bailed out of it when he was leaving as well, because I'm just like, I'm not going to fucking be able to stand another minute of this without vomiting. But, you know, the entire time he's in there, she just doesn't say a fucking word. She tries to get a word in, shoots it down. Tries to say anything, shoots it down. He thinks that's being dominant, and he doesn't understand that's being a cocksucker. That's being a fucking piece of shit that doesn't value anything about your partner. Dominance in relationships value their partners. Okay, they do. A lot of these doms actually give a fucking shit about the people that they're doming over. Alright, there's a whole spectrum, a whole dynamic spectrum of fucking emotions that you don't have, that you'll never understand, that you think you're you're employing onto your partner, basically. When you're not, you're just being an abusive piece of shit. And the more that they shut up and do what you want, you think that, oh, see, it's fine. You know, they're happy with it. No, they're not. I mean, say what you will about his wife, and I think she's kind of a bitch for getting with him just because he had money. You know, and I do. I'm not one of these people that sympathizes with her, because in this fucking live stream, she like straight up admits that all she wants out of him is somebody to pay for college and all these cool concerts she never really goes to, even though he buys tickets for her to go to. He's fucked. I mean, he is an actual cuck. Without a cuckold, he's an actual cuck, if you know what that is. And I think that's... I think it's pretty... Alright. I don't want to get too much into weird fucking sex shit. A cuckold is basically a white dude who's into watching big burly black guys fuck his wife. It's a thing that exists. I don't know why it exists, but it's a thing that exists. And there are fucking guys all over who get off on this. I don't get it. You know, it's like not a relationship where it's like boyfriend and girlfriend and then somebody else fucks the girlfriend and he watches. No, it's a married couple. And then they have this big fucking like Terry Crews motherfucker walk into the room and just fucking plow the motherfucker's wife. And then he just beats off and watches. And she forces him to be okay with it. I don't even get it. I don't even get it. But he's like a cuck without the black dude, I guess. Because he is so fucking fucked in this relationship. But anyway, say what you will about his wife. You know, she's obviously not happy with the treatment that he gives her. And it's obviously from this distorted mentality that he thinks he knows what dominance is. Sorry for itching my nose a lot, okay? High pollen out there, and I was outside earlier, so... Great. I had to take like fucking 2. You're only supposed to take like one of these, like little wannabe Claritins, because they're so strong. I had to take 2 of them just to be cleared up enough to do this video. Anyway. Anyway. I mean, all that in together. I mean, this is just the first 8 chapters. Okay? I mean... It's just stupid. There's no reality interjected into this. He wants us to think he's a victim the entire time. I'm like, dude, you're not a fucking victim. Oh, yeah. And then at one point he goes to school dressed up, and I don't watch this show because it's not one that really interests me, because I personally could never get into it. But I do know that there was a character that did this in the first season of it. You know American Horror Story? I'm sure you do. I'm sure there are plenty of fans of it in my audience. I'm not a fan of it myself, but I'm not going to judge anyone who is, because, well, if you like it, you like it. I don't happen to. But I do know that in the first season, or one of the earlier seasons, there was this character, this blonde kid, who went to school painted up like a skeleton. Like he was trying to paint himself up like the, that one guy who's got all the tattoos all over his whole body. He even tattooed his face like a skull. He goes to school like painted like that in one episode or some shit like that. He fucking rips that guy off. Like, it's so fucking... I don't even watch this show. And I know what he's ripping off. You know? There's no reason for it. There's no reason for it. He just shows up to school like this. Which goes to show me that he doesn't watch the show either, because he doesn't know why they did this. I don't know why they did this. But I can tell that if there's no reason for him to have done this, then just fuck it. I'm putting something in there that's familiar from pop culture, because I can't come up with anything original. It's just like why he threw a school shooting into his last book. There's no fucking reason for it to happen. There was no explanation as to why it happened. It was just, oh, this kid's a bastard, so let me shoot up my school. You know? Well, Gerg, the superhero, fucking rollerblades through the carnage. I swear to God. There are just so many things about this. I apologize. I apologize if this offends some people, but this is... his books are the most autistic fucking thing that I've ever read in my life. Okay? I'm not trying to insult people with autism, but there is so much that makes me think he's on the spectrum here in these books that it's just impossible for me at this point to think that he's not. Okay? Obviously, he's got sociopathic tendencies. Obviously, he's got borderline personality disorder. But when it comes to higher functions, I think he's legit autistic in some way or another. He's on that spectrum. There's no fucking reality to this. I mean, these are his... He admitted, these are his thoughts. This is what he looks at when he sees the world through his own perspective. This is what he thinks reality is. It's not! And it's like obvious that other people have told him this, even before he got on YouTube. In fact, I know this because I talked to somebody who claimed they went to high school with him, and everything he's written so far backs them up. He's been told that, and it's just like, fuck you. It is reality. Alright? I can break people's arms and get away with it because of my suffering. I can manipulate people to get with me because I don't want to go through the process of getting to know them. So I'll make them feel like shit if they dump me. In fact, I would wager he knocked up his fucking wife because he didn't want her to leave. He figured, fuck it, you're stuck with a baby. You're stuck with me, bitch. You know, the guy I talked to and interviewed said that he used to get engaged. He put like a $10 ring or something on girls' fingers so they'd feel bad if they broke up with him because they're super duper serious. I mean, that's the shittiest thing you can do. I've been engaged a couple of times in my life. You know, and it didn't work. It didn't work because it didn't work. And I certainly didn't fucking ask these people to marry me. These two different people to marry me. Because I wanted to fucking manipulate them into staying. Because what the fuck is that? That's bullshit. I was an asshole in a lot of relationships. But I was never that big of an asshole. I asked Becky to marry me because I love her to death. Love her more than anything in this fucking world. I don't need to manipulate her to stay so she won't cheat on me. She stays because she wants to be here. It's just like, there's so much insanity. Anyway, the writing is, let's get to the writing and then I'll wrap this up. The writing is just fucking awful. He doesn't know how to write. He doesn't know how to utilize grammar. He doesn't know how to do anything properly. The first book was just a fucking cesspool of bullshit. Okay, he's using ampersands all over the place because he doesn't know what an ampersand is. He doesn't know what it's for. He just thinks it's a shorter way of saying and because he's an idiot. And even though it is another way of saying and, there's a correct way to use it and an incorrect way to use it. He just doesn't know how to write. He's illiterate. He admitted, I haven't read a book in 14 years. Obviously. And you just backed up with this guy who said they went to high school with you, who I interviewed, and I'll just keep repeating that for whatever reason. You're backing up what they said. And they said your grades were like just abysmal. Like you didn't pay attention. Like you were just an idiot who thought you were above your fucking teachers. Yeah, he goes and he tells me that he thinks he was above the teachers. You know, he knew more. Yeah, the person that went to fucking college, the person with an actual education, and that it's their damn job to make you educated. I would have loved it if this dipshit had went to school and my granddad was still a teacher. My granddad was a teacher in different types of education all throughout his life for over 35 years. He was mainly a high school teacher, but he had educated all the way from like, you know, really young education like kindergarten and first through like 5th grade and stuff. A little bit of middle school, but the majority of his career he was a high school teacher. He didn't take shit from people. He has students to this day, you know, that send him mail every so often, you know, because they kept in contact over the years, and they ask him how he's doing because, as from what he's told me and some of these messages that he let me read that he's gotten from people, you know, he was the best teacher they ever had because he made learning fun. He made it interesting. But he didn't take shit from people who thought they were smarter. I would have loved if you'd gone to school when my granddad was a teacher because he'd have put your narcissistic fucking ass in your goddamn place. You fucking asswipe know-it-all piece of shit. I owe a lot of what I know about life these days to that old man. Because he's smart. Because he's lived through a whole lot of fucking shit. Your book is written from the perspective of an insane 17-year-old who has the fucking arrogance and balls to say, I've lived a life of experience. No, you haven't, because you go and explain that you lost your mother to cancer and you're pissed off at your dad for dealing with it. It's, you know, it's a fucking shitty thing to commentate on in the way I'm about to, but you don't know shit about suffering. The man was married to the woman for years, and then she dies horribly of a miserable, fucking awful, terrible, fucked up disease. You have no goddamn idea what that sort of loss is like. Yeah, in your book, it's your mom. Understand that, okay? I lost my mom to cancer too. It was horrible. But I am not going to sit there and even try to comprehend what my dad fucking went through. He was married to that woman for well over fucking 20 years. I mean, it's absurd. The level of arrogance and insanity in this, but... And then you just keep going off on side tracks and diatribes and shit because you just try to understand somebody this fucking dumb and you can't. Because I'm not even talking anymore about the fucking character because it's just him. He puts himself in his books. But God, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. And it's funny that, you know, your real-life mother figure has been such a disappointment because she turned you into what you are. People get mad when I say that. There's no other, you know. She was the only person who fucking raised him for the most part. I'm sorry, you can't look anywhere else. You know, I'm smart enough to know that this kind of shit comes from somewhere. And in guys like him, it comes from really only one or two different things, mom or dad. And since there's no dad around, any dad that was worth a fuck. Yeah. But anyway, the writing, awful. It's fucking unreadable. It's butchered. He tried to give the excuse in a live stream he did with his wife, the one I was talking about just a little bit ago, that, well, Amazon wouldn't let me edit the book for about 11 days before release, so there's a lot of grammatical errors. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, if there are that many goddamn grammatical errors in this fucking book, even 11 days before it came out, what did the fucking first draft look like? Oh, that's right, this is a first fucking draft. Because everything you will put out on the market is a first draft because you're too fucking stupid to know how to edit anything, because you're too fucking illiterate and dumb to have actually paid attention in school and learned how to fucking write. Learned how to read. I think the reason he hasn't read a book in 14 years is because he doesn't know how to read. That he's just stupid. Anyway. This book is a piece of shit. And like I said before, even if there wasn't this fucking bullshit, you know, like the me versus him shit going on here, I'd still be saying the exact same things I'm saying now. I've been a writer for years. I've wanted always to become a better writer, so I busted my ass to become a better writer. Not once did I sit back and make fucking bullshit excuses as to why things I write came out like shit. I learned what my mistakes were, I learned from them, and got better. I mean, what do you think I was going to do? And this Demon Hunter book that I've been writing it since I was in 10th grade. Do you think I was going to take the draft I wrote in 10th grade and then sell that? No. I put it up because I wanted critique from people. And since I hadn't gotten any since about like what, 2006? Yeah, whatever. But the draft exists. And, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm not going to release the first draft as a final because that's stupid. It's unedited. It's ridiculous. There are errors all over the place. Continuity problems. It's ridiculous. This whole book is fucking ridiculous. I don't know why you took up being an author. Because you're fucking horrible at it. Anyway, I'm some guy on the internet. I hope this video entertained you. I'm off to write more in the book I was just mentioning. And as for like release dates for it and all that, it's nowhere near done. Okay, I've been basically, if you want to hear a little bit, I've been working on this, like I said, since I was in 10th grade. And I put it on the back burner for the longest time because, well, since that time, a lot of different things had been going on for me. And I returned to it a couple of years ago and started writing up some initial rewrite drafts and stuff because the initial, the first version is stupid. It's dumb. You know, even for like a 10th grader, it was just dumb. I didn't like it. I liked the plot. I liked the idea that I came up with. But I just didn't like how it was written because it was fucking horribly written. I mean, if you want, I can link... I can put a link to the chapters from it down below, and I'm a little reluctant to do that because I admit it's pretty fucking awful and it doesn't even have an ending. But yeah, in the last couple of years I've taken the time to really rewrite it, really sit down and be like, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to figure out where the fuck I want this to go, how I want it to go, how I want it worded. I mean, I've been meticulous as a motherfucker about this. I mean, this is the most meticulous I've ever been about writing something ever. Ever. And, I mean, I've got, like, lists of, like, character sheets and stuff. You know, sheets and sheets of backstory and all this shit, which will all make it into the books that follow. But, I mean... One of the things that's important to writing is to do things like this. You know, and here's some advice I've got as a writer to people that want to get better at it. What I do is I do things like that. Like, I'll sit back and I will start writing, like, all about... Like, I'll make a story for a character. You know? Like, when were they born? You know? Who are their parents? You wouldn't think these things matter. But the more you detail stuff like that, the more you might, like I said, you know, where were they born? Who were their parents? What was their early life like? You know, they went to school. Okay, did they have a lot of friends? Did they do all these things? You know, you create like a mini biography for this fictional person. Once you start intertwining elements of that into your writing, they come alive just like that. They do. And, I mean, I never thought really to do this before, but I have this time around, and it's pretty fucking cool. You know? It's pretty fucking cool. Even if they're, like, smaller characters that they don't have a huge presence, you know, you don't have to go, like, full in-depth like you might want to with your lead characters, but you can still give them enough personality to be like, wow, that was pretty impressive, that even if they were in the plot just for a little bit, you know, you might be interested in, like, wow, that's kind of cool. Even if they were there for, like, a little bit, you know, you might be interested in their story, too. You never know. Because everyone in the world, each one of us, we all have our own story. And it's just ridiculous when you write a book and the characters are flat and one-dimensional because you don't care. You don't want to know them. You don't give a fuck. They're just cardboard cutouts with a little fucking hinged jaw, and you're making them talk like that. My name is Abby. I suck James' dick. It hurts like fuck to pull my beard like this. I'm gonna stop now. Ow. You know, another thing that I've done, here's a little bit more advice, is when it comes to like detailing like the outline of your story, you know, I mean, if you want to create a real world for your story, create a real world for it. You know, give it some continuity, give it some backstory, give it some history. You know, because that's what I've been doing in my book. And there is a necessity to the continuity for this. There is a big necessity to it. Without that continuity in there, I mean, you wouldn't care about some of the events that happened in this story before these characters that are the leads were even born, because the storyline to this book has a history that precedes them by a little bit, hundreds. Few thousand years actually, but because it's like a sci-fi fiction sort of thing. But that's all important, you know, to the depth of the world that you're trying to create. Without that, it's just flat and stupid. And all these things are they're devoid in Onion's writing because he doesn't know what he's doing. I didn't know what I was doing at first, but I learned, and I experimented, and when what I experimented with didn't work, I said, okay, I'll see what's wrong with it, why doesn't it work, and try it again. There's none of that. There's absolutely motherfucking none of that. And if you're out there, even if you're a fan of his stuff, okay, you can still benefit from my advice because it works, okay? It does work. It's not just make an excuse for why your book fucking sucks ass, okay? No, that's bullshit. All right, if I was editing his book myself, I would fucking send the whole thing back to him and go, what is this fucking shit? Rewrite this. I don't want it. I don't give a fuck. Come up with something better and give me that if you don't want to continue this. All right, I wouldn't accept this shit. There's no reason to. It's subpar and fucking stupid. A third grader can do better. I've seen stuff from third graders that is a hell of a lot better. Hell, the kid who wrote Aragon, wasn't he like, what, in 6th grade when he wrote that? Okay, say what you will, you know, about the book if you're not a fan of it or you are a fan of it. I think it's fucking impressive that he wrote that in, like, if I remember correctly, in 6th fucking grade. So, there's no reason for excuses. None whatsoever. You know, it's just you learn from your mistakes, trial and error, and if you're really unsure of what you're doing, there's nothing fucking wrong with educating yourself. Nothing in the world wrong with it at all. Anyway, let me wrap this up now, because I want to start writing, and it's already 3 in the afternoon. I'm some guy on the internet. So are you. Until next time, take it easy. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see more from me, well, just hit the subscribe button, motherfucker. Ain't that hard. Anyway, take it easy.